today, I'm in our 1995 Triple E motorhome because it's pouring rain out, and the boat shed leaks like I said, so we're dealing with that in a couple of weeks. One of the things that constantly on my mind is how I'm going to fit out this boat in the engine bay especially and make all this stuff fit. So what's come first to mind is plumbing. And many years ago I bought this C-Tech water distribution manifold off of eBay fairly cheaply. They're very expensive now. I don't think they're called C-Tech anymore. The company's been flipped through a few other companies, but basically they're all made by Watts. Seemed to be a great piece of kit at the time. It's all PEX compatible. PEX tubing. Got 3 different sizes here that I'll need for the little project I'm working on. And our RV, which is 25 plus years old, is all plumbed with PEX. And RVs, like boats, get somewhat of a rough use, and the PEX piping is held up perfectly. So I think it's going to be fine for my project. But one of the issues I ran into is your distribution ports with the valves are all 1/2 inch, and that's fine for running your branch lines out to your sinks and your showers and toilet and all that stuff. But the input ports, this end is 3/4 inch PEX, which is this size, and the opposite end is 1 inch. So you can't really buy PEX valves that I can find that are larger than 3/4 of an inch. So in order to be able to use these valves, which I want to use as drain valves, I hope I can get the distribution manifold at the lowest point of the freshwater system. So in the fall when we have to winterize, I can just crack these valves and drain everything, probably with a little compressed air. It's exactly the same way we do it on the RV. And so in order to make that work, I've got to use some 1 inch PEX, some 1 inch to 3/4 fittings, and then from the 3/4 I can make little joint splices to put the valves in place. Anyway, so that's what we're doing today. This is really my first foray into using PEX. It uses these little stainless steel crimp fasteners to latch onto the pipe, and I did one the other night and it was severely latched on there. There was no way it was coming off. And I think that's evidenced by our 25-year-old bus with PEX tubing that's rattled down many a dirt road in Wyoming, that this stuff, once it goes on, it doesn't come off. So I know there are other methods of securing and fastening these. There are the push-on fittings, the shark bite fittings. There are the polyethylene shrink ring that goes on and sort of puts pressure on the connection itself. But for me, this seemed to be the easiest to do. It's a little tubing cutter. It came with a kit I bought off of Amazon. It's made by a company called iCrimp. And this is the beastie for actually crimping the fittings. And it's much just like your ratcheting crimper for your electrical connections. Same general concept. So I'm just going to I've cut my first piece of PEX to size. It's about 2 1/4 inches long, which should go in the first valve just like that. And that's not going to be long enough. This has to. Oh yeah, that'll be fast enough. So this is my 1 inch to 3/4 inch reducer, and it's going to be a bit straight in there, I'm sure. Just like that. And next up is the crimp ring. that reducer, so let's give this a shot. If you mess these up, you can cut them off fairly easily. It's not very hard, so. Turn this around so I can see it. Holy crap. Wow. I guess that's on there now. That ain't coming off. So my idea was to use the next piece of PEX pipe to put the valves in place. This one has to have enough room to swing upwards. Well, it will miss. And this one will swing downwards. So I'm going to go ahead and do another piece of 2 1/4 inch PEX pipe, 1 inch long. This is the easy part. Try to get it lined up square as best you can. There we go. Part number 2. There we go. Gives a nice satisfying click when it's firmly in place. There is an O-ring inside, as well as the pipe seats down fairly securely onto the fitting inside. So let's go ahead and put our next fitting in place. That one just slipped right in there. Another 1 inch ring. Close. Clamp ring on. For those of you guys that have done this before, don't laugh. This is my first time. And I probably watched most of you guys on YouTube do it, so that's how I learned. See where one of those hydraulic crimpers would be nice. Luckily I don't have too many of this size to do. Two down. Now the idea is to use the 3/4 inch PEX to bridge over. And for that we will need a chunk of pipe. Approximately 1 3/4 inches long. So actually we need 2. 3/4 clamps. There's the 1-inch clamps. It's actually substantially larger. And these are 1/2 inch. So we're going with 3/4 on this one. Should be a little easier to clamp. Just guessing. Down. Now we get to fit 2 valves. One. Two. Okey-dokey. That's going to be a problem. That one's there. Staggered somewhat like that. Oh, Jesus. Crash. Yeah, I think if I was doing this for a living, I'd definitely invest in one of those hydraulic crimpers. This is a pain in the ass. I suppose if I did it every day, it would be different, but I don't. So I'll have to suck it up, buttercup. So when you foul up like I just did, and it slipped off while I was crimping it, this tool has the ability to cut them off. You have to rotate the head to a different setting. And then cut the offending. Well, I did a pretty good job of mangling the shit out of it. And I cut it. There we go. Done diggered that one. Now I have to switch our tool back to crimp. Engage safety squints. Let's try this again. there we have it. Again, these are drains. They'll have tubes which will come out and lead to the bilge. So that's that side done. I want to use the 3/4 inch inlets for the raw water feed, and in order to do that, because everything else is 1/2 inch PEX, I have to put a reducer in this end. Unfortunately, I only have one of these. I don't know why I didn't buy two, so we'll save that again for another day. The manifold, once it's set up, we have cold and hot water feed for the galley sink, for the head, and for the cockpit shower, and this one's in reserve. There you have it. One of my favorite channels on YouTube is Travels with Jordy. A lot of you will be familiar with this channel, and some probably not, so I'll put a link to the YouTube channel in the description below. The gentleman there, his name is Peter Knowles. He's living on a classic wooden motor cruiser in Victoria, BC, and Peter exemplifies the type of boater that loves wooden boats and loves the maintenance involved in keeping a wooden boat afloat and functioning properly, and I really enjoy his approach to his work and his humor. And at the end of every segment, Peter has a beer of the week where he highlights a beer from a local craft brewery, and I find that rather funny and I enjoy it. So what I've decided to do is a little homage to Peter, and I'm technically not a beer drinker, but while we were stocking up for our little camper vacation a while back, I ran across a bunch of sort of nautical themed craft beers, and I grabbed a few, thinking that I would do something funny at the end of a video to pay homage to Peter and his work, and I'm going to try that right now. So the beer that I have here is called Lost Craft Crimson Premium Red Ale, and this comes from a brewery in Toronto, lostcraft.beer.com. I like red ales, Rickards Red, things like that. I also like the heartier beers like Guinness, and when I do drink beer, which is very rarely, so I'll probably embarrass myself. I'm going to try and pour this without making a mess or a mockery of the beer, but we'll give it a shot and see how it goes. Feel free to comment on whether I'm doing it right or not. I know this is as much art as it is science, or vice versa. Yeah, I made a mess. Here we go. This is a very nice reddish beer. I think I did pretty good, not getting too much of a head on it, but let's see how it tastes. I can't smell it. My sinuses are still plugged up, even with the steroids and antihistamine, so we don't know what's going on, but here goes. That's really very good. It doesn't remind me a lot of Rickards Red. Very light tasting, not a brutal aftertaste. It's really quite enjoyable. So, here's to you, Peter. I wish you well in all your ventures out west. It's been our dream for years, when we get our boat finished, to bring it out there for a couple of years and cruise around the places that you call home. And I just wanted to say, remember everybody, life's too short to drink cheap beer. Support your local craft microbrewery. Cheers.